Good day, everyone. This is Biafran National Television and Radio, Bntvr, Voice of the Rising Sun, the official broadcast station of the state of Biafra. Welcome and thank you for joining me on the brief for truth, courage, and discipline. I'm your host, Pointer. I will be giving you an in-depth analysis of the extraordinary summit in commemoration of the second year Biafran Massacres Remembrance Day held in the Defense Headquarters, 2nd Division, NSUKKA Province, 15 to 31st January 2025. The Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration, which is BSMCA, comprising of the Head of State, BPG, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the State of Biafra, who is the chairperson, and his cabinet. The BSMCA also includes the provincial administrators of each provinces, the head of the upper chamber of the Biafran Transitional Parliament, the principal of the lower chambers of the Biafran Transitional Parliament, BTB, and also service chiefs of the Biafran Army, the service chief of the Biafran Air Force, the service chief of the Biafran Navy, and the service chief of the Biafran Detective Force, and also includes the Government Department Directorates and Ministers and the Biafran Judiciary, Biafran National Tribunal of Justice. The Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration unanimously convened, deliberated, and decided to commemorate the second year Biafran Massacres Remembrance Day in an extraordinary summit held in the Defense Headquarters, 2nd Division, NSUKKA Province, from Wednesday, Afo, 15th to Friday, Afo, 31st January 2025. They resolved, that is the Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration, resolved, stated, and gazetted the following. 1. Annually, the 15th of January shall commemorate the revocation, nullification, and voiding of the surrender note speech by the second head of state of the Independent Republic of Biafra, Major General Philip Effiong, made on behalf of the Biafran government to the defunct Federal Military Government of Nigeria, represented by General Retired Yakubu Gowon, on 15 January 1970 at DODAN Barracks, Lagos State of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Major General Philip Effiong has, on behalf of the Biafran government, surrendered territories, land, resources to the Federal Military Government of Nigeria to end the genocide on the 15th of January 1970 for the sake of our survival. And before he surrendered, he told Yakubu Gowon, General Yakubu Gowon, and General Olusegun Obasanjo was also present, very sure of that. He told them that in years to come, the children, the grandchildren of the Biafran soldiers will ask and demand answers of what transpired, which is why the children, the grandchildren, and even some of the survivors in the Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration has voided, nullified, and revoked every territory, every land, every resources, continental shelf, territorial waters under forced occupation is now territories of the state of Biafra. That is in every 31 provinces, including the national provincial capital, laid to Eda, is now legitimate and existing territories of the state of Biafra. 2. That is the second resolution. A resolution for a proper, coordinated and formal dossier / documentation for victims, either dead or survivors, of the numerous massacres, mass murder, forced disappearance, arbitrary detention occurring since 1966 to date. There is no proper documentation, there is no proper dossier, there is no formal or coordinated knowledge or form of information of victims that have been massacred, exterminated, racially discriminated since 1966 to date. I commend the BSMCA for such improvement. The third resolution stated, resolution for an expedite and formal inclusion of the Nigerian Biafran Civil War of 1967 to 70 as the Biafran genocide in the International Record of War Genocide. The International Record of War Genocide have been unfair and are now morally obliged to include the Biafran genocide of 1967 to 70 formally and expeditiously in their records, because evidence and facts has emerged that the Biafran genocide is the worst crime against humanity since the Holocaust, even as stated by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who stated that the world watched by while crimes against humanity was committed in Biafra. The fourth resolution states, the commemoration ceremony of the Biafran Massacres Remembrance Day to be held annually on the 15th of January shall be marked in sober reflection by laying of wreaths through flowers, lighting of candles, military parade, Biafran national flag at half-mast, gun salutes and other activities as approved, which is to be held in every national and provincial secretariat of the Biafran provincial government, which is the government of the state of Biafra, and the ceremony could either be public or private. 15th of January annually shall be marked as Biafran Massacres Remembrance Day, as stated. The fifth resolution states, the Biafran Transitional Parliament, BTB, shall now include an observer status for representatives of the Biafran Elders of Thought, Biafran Women's Forum, Biafran Youths and Age Grade as appointed by each counties and villages. If you're not aware, be aware that the Biafran Transitional Parliament was converged and inaugurated in 2021 and has a representative from each provinces, that is the 31 provinces, including the national provincial capital, Letu Eda. And now, for better governance and to bring the government of the state of Biafra, which is the Biafran provincial government, closer to the indigenes and citizens of the state of Biafra, the Biafran Supremacy Council of Administration has gazetted, resolved, and agreed that elders of each villages, women's group of each villages, youths group and age grade of each villages shall have representative. So your representative shall be directly accountable to you and also listening to your voices, opinions, and suggestions. The sixth resolution states, the Biafran military operation Rastaroko is hereby dissolved and replaced with Operation End Nigeria Now in Biafran territories. Rastaroko has been dissolved and Operation End Nigeria Now in Biafran territories is commenced and established. Therefore, every parastatals, installment, base, outreach, barrack, base, outposts of the occupying Nigerian terrorist armed forces and governments, which include the judiciary, executive and legislative arm, is now a legitimate target for the self-defense of the peoples and government of the state of Biafra. For the sake of protecting the lives of people, of citizens, of indigenes under the jurisdiction of the state of Biafra, Operation End Nigeria Now in Biafran territories is hereby commenced, every military troop, every Biafran military troop should adhere to this directive for the sake of legitimate exercise of our right to self-defense. The seventh resolution stated, resolution for the establishment and implementation of the Government Department of Patent, Intellect, Cyber and Space, depicts, and a government department for our creators, for our inventors, for our talented indigenes has been established to protect our talent, to protect our intellect, to protect our skills. The Government Department of Patent, Intellect, Cyber and Space has been established and implemented. This is an advice to those with talent, technologists, internet gurus, scientists, engineers, and so on, that the Biafran provincial government is seeking to protect your rights as stated by the international covenants and obligations for your intellect, for your talent, and for your skills. Contact the Biafran provincial government to know more about the Department of Patent, Intellect, Cyber and Space, depicts. The 8th resolution stated, resolution for the change of the official time zone from the West African time WAT to the Central African time CAT for the state of Biafra, and the reverting of the BIGHT of BONNY to its original name of the BIGHT of Biafra. This is to let you know wherever you are, you should change your time to 1 hour ahead. Your time should be 1 hour ahead of the West African time. The state of Biafra, every territories of the state of Biafra is 1 hour ahead of the West African time. The Biafran standard time is now 1 hour ahead of the West African time. And also, the BIGHT of BONNY is now the BIGHT of Biafra. Since time immemorial, this was done by the occupying terrorists, armed forces and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to distort the future generation, to take away every knowledge, to take away every evidence of an independent nation called Biafra, which is why the Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration is reverting the BIGHT of BONNY to the BIGHT of Biafra as it was even before colonization. The 9th resolution states the classification as incendiary of every occupational Nigerian military hospitals, medical outreach, outposts and facilities pending investigation for aiding in the disposition of bodies of pro-Biafran activists and members killed and injured during civil demonstration and protests. The Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration is investigating the decaying, the disposition, the disclassification of innocent victims of unarmed and defenseless IPOB members, Masobians, Biafran Zionist movements that were killed only for protesting, only for raising a flag. They were killed, and their bodies were carted away. Till date, their families cannot recover them. The Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration is therefore warning everyone having any form of interaction or contact or service with those occupying Nigerian hospitals to cease, because there it has become a legitimate target and classified as incendiary for the sake of recovering, at least to pay the last respect to those victims, those innocent defenseless and unarmed members of pro-Biafran civil groups that were killed during protests and demonstration. The BSMCA is stating they are trying to investigate to at least give their bodies to their family for proper burial rites. The 10th resolution, which is the last but not the least, of the extraordinary summit in commemoration of the second year Biafran Massacres Remembrance Day, states the Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration has resolved that the status and well-being of every prisoner of conscience, political and war prisoners of Biafran origin, shall be ascertained by the Biafran Provincial Government (BPG), Government of the State of Biafra. These prisoners of conscience, political and war prisoners, includes Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOB leader, Mr. Benjamin Onwuka of Biafran Zionist Movement, Mr. Akwara, Mr. Victor Iroha, a journalist, and so many others, too numerous to mention, illegally incarcerated in several detention centers of the occupying terrorist armed forces and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not because they have committed any crime, just because they seek their legitimate and inalienable right to self-determination. Just because they decided to cover or have a coverage of rallies or events of the Biafran situation. The Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration, in resolving that the status and well-being of every one of them and others shall be ascertained. Personally, I want to appreciate and acknowledge the Biafran Provincial Government for their high-level discussion with the international community, especially the European Union, which has forced the occupying Nigerian government to allow Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to be able to speak to the press, to be able to be brought to the court for his trial, and to be able to speak to his lawyers and family members. It is quite commendable. My appreciation and regard to those involved. The extraordinary summit in commemoration of the second year Biafran Massacre Remembrance Day, held in the Defense Headquarters, 2nd Division, NSUKKA Province, 15 to 31st January 2025, was signed by General Innocent N. Oji, GCSB, Head of State BPG and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the State of Biafra, and also the Chairperson of the Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration, Colonel Nsikank, Spokesperson, Biafran Supreme Military Council of Administration, BSMCA, Colonel Okosisi Okpara, Biafran Army Chief, Colonel Ofobuche Ene, Biafran Air Force Chief, Navy Captain Amakiri Tamuno, Biafran Navy Chief, Brigadier Ebiotu Harry, Biafran Detective Chief, Barrister Mark Roman, Head of the Upper Chamber, Biafran Transitional Parliament, BTB, Mrs. Okemute Amugoro, the Principal of the Lower Chamber, Biafran Transitional Parliament, BTB, Justice Okoro Antioch Odonjisi, Chair, Biafran National Legal Advocate, BNLA, Barrister Ekemma Nwopo, Presiding Officer, National Association of Biafran Barristers, NABB, and Colonel Ukpai Carlo, National Provincial Administrator of Letu, EDA, on behalf of the Biafran Provincial Administrators of the 31 provinces of the state of Biafra. This brings me to the end of today's broadcast of The Brief. Continue to visit our social media platform and continue to share. And of course, don't forget our official website, www.stateofbiafra.org. Download a VPN if your IP has been blocked from viewing Biafran content in territories of the state of Biafra. I repeat, www.stateofbiafra.org. I'm your host, Pointer. Take care.